Fran.
Before we start, count me. We have 3 out of 5.
Always count you.
Before we start our meeting today, we're going to have the invocation and we're going to have the pledge. And it looks like the pledge is going to be led by Jane Oakley,
Oh,
who's
good.
unable to be here, so you can substitute, okay?
That's fine,
Jane?
sir.
Can I call you Jane?
You can do whatever you want. You're the mayor.
And Pastor Ronnie, we're appreciative of you coming down in the middle of the afternoon to help us out with our invocation. So with that, let us all stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Ronnie Russell, proud to have you today.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Honored to be here. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we love you today. We thank you for a beautiful day that you've granted us here in Connersville today. We thank you for the men and women that's in this room today. We pray that as they sat down and began to take care of their agenda, that you would give them wisdom, that you would give them knowledge, or that they would make right decisions. And Father, we just pray that you would continue to favor us as we work together to better this community and the people that's in it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bless you. This chair, I'm gonna board up.
Call the meeting of the Board of Works and Public Safety together for October the 19th, 2015. We'll have a roll call.
Jane Oakley, Fran Schomel,
Present.
Leonard Urban,
Present.
Mike Bishop,
Present.
Ron Coldiron.
Let the record show that 3 of the 5 people on the Board of Works are present. We have a quorum and we can do business. I'll ask that everybody check their ringers, cell phone, be sure they're on quiet or vibrate or off or something. And then we will have the reading of the minutes of the October 5th meeting.
We have 2 meetings, Your Honor, and I request we approve them. One was for October 5th and the other was for October 9th. And I ask that they be approved, please. Second.
On a motion to approve the minutes for both of the meetings, the regular meeting and the called meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? None appearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks. I slipped one in on you. We've got new business today. We're going to have a public hearing to end our grant with the owner-occupied rehab program that we did. I will ask you to come up and get us started here. I'm going to call a public hearing and give us a report, a final report, if you will.
Okay. And if you guys don't mind, you just sign this as you present. The city of Connersville received...
Go ahead and give me your name and your title so it gets with the record, okay?
Okay. Joyce McCarty with Star Development. We're the grant administrator for this project. And the funding source came from Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. The city of Connersville received $350,000. The grant went from April of 2014 to October of 2015. There were 17 homes that participated in the project. We put new vinyl siding on 4 of the homes. We had exterior painting on approximately 4 homes. This is just kind of an overall synopsis of it. We did approximately 10 roofs. We put 5 furnaces in, 4 AC units, and we did electric upgrades on 4 homes. Now there was a lot of other things that we did that's too numerous to mention, but I just wanted to hit the highlights of it. There were a lot of improvements, as you can see, especially on the exterior of the homes. So we did do bathrooms, accessibility issues, wherever that was needed. The final claim was submitted, this final claim in the amount of $5,000 for administration fees. That claim had to be submitted, but it will be denied until after the audit, and that's all taken care of. The state inspector came and conducted all the inspections on all the homes involved. That was done on October the 7th, and we're responding to any issues that he had. Closeout documents will be submitted this week because this is the final week of the grant. We're waiting on the check, I assume, those 2 checks that you'll probably produce today or tomorrow. And then after that, after the closeout documents are submitted, we will wait on Indiana Housing to schedule the final audit for the program. But we've had a lot of good responses, from the people that are participating. The contractors have done a good job, and of course, they've already done any kind of issues that the state inspector might have done, noticed, and they were very minor issues. We do constantly get calls for people that would like to be added to a list for next time. So
And it will be a next time? What does that depend?
it just depends on whenever the city wants to go in again.
Okay.
The next time to apply would be July 2016.
It's my hope that the new administration applies. We've done
Yes.
this for, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years.
At
Yes.
least, yes.
And it's been a wonderful program. We have had 0 calls or complaints on this grant.
Great.
0, not one problem.
That's-
We also have had a beautiful letter from a lady, and I had Fran read it at the last meeting, where she got a furnace and air conditioning, and I think new siding, and things she could have never had. And I don't know if they got the total homes that you worked on. Can you give me that?
17.
17 homes. Now that makes, when you take 17 and you multiply that by 8 or 9, you're talking about a lot of homes that have been rehabbed because of this program. So there's nobody in the room that's, oh yeah, Holly's here, but that's running again. Mr. Nutty, take heed. It's a wonderful program. It's worked well. And I can tell you, we had only 1 year where we had complaints, and it wasn't the McCarty's fault. It wasn't the city's fault. It was kind of a stubborn tenant.
Well, and it was 1 year and it was 1 person, so.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right,
And that's,
right.
in all
That's
the
right.
years, that's all we've
I
had.
thought I had that
Yeah.
letter, but I don't.
And I think if you can run that good, so. Public hearing, anybody else wanted to say something about the housing grant? Anybody know? None appearing, I'm going to attempt to close the public hearing. And that is complete, and now you can move down the road.
And thank you for your
Thank
effort,
you.
everything
Thank
you've
you.
done, thank you.
Joyce, be sure and come and bug the new people.
Okay.
And I'll try to see that I've got it marked on my calendar for July.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That being done, we will go into the utility department grievance filed by the union through Bob Fox. I'd like to talk, oops, excuse me. You missed a signature. I'd like to talk to the Board of Works about this. I received a call from Mike. Mike talked with Bob Fox this morning, and all they're asking us to do now in order to drop this is to pass a verbal resolution, put in the record, that we won't make a precedent of this happening again, transferring from one department to another. And I think what needs to happen, and I talked to Mr. Baker about it, the city council needs to make a ordinance pertaining to how they're going to handle lateral transfers from, say, the street to park, park to street, maybe park to fire department, but how they need to do that. I think it takes an ordinance in place. This is the way it's going to be handled. And the ordinance also needs to say who is a city department. The union kind of feels like the utility is a separate unit from, it belongs to the city, but it's a separate unit from the other units. As you know, Mr. Baker says no because they all fall under the Board of Works. So I think if we just pass a resolution today, verbal resolution saying that we are not going to do this again until this is addressed by the city council. Also, I think it needs to be addressed in each one of the union contracts,
That's what I was gonna
that
ask.
it follows the ordinance that's passed by the city. Whether our city council in the last 2 months here wants to pass this ordinance, or whether they just want to go on and wait until the contracts, I don't know how they want to do it. We'll talk to them tonight about it. But if I'm getting what Bob Fox said, if we pass this today, we're going to move past this and forget it, right?
Right, he's just trying to protect the integrity of the contract. He didn't want this as a precedent, so just allow us to do it this time, and we'll get it signed, and he'll drop it.
Okay, Mr. Baker indicated me he wanted a agreement signed by them that this is done and put to bed before we sign it.
Yeah, he just want to make sure verbally that we know that and then why he's not here. So he said he would come up with a form requesting all the information that, first time, only time we'll do this, make sure it doesn't set a precedent. And then we'll look at it at the next contracts, if we can add some words, to the contract, if we ever need to do this again.
But you've got 5 contracts to deal with here.
Right,
And-
not just
and-
one.
And short of us passing a ordinance, this won't hold water after the first of the year. Right, Mr. Baker?
It's not a precedent.
Yeah.
So no.
Okay.
Does the union body agree with this?
Yes, that's what they decided.
Oh, everybody?
Yeah, he represents
Okay.
them.
So I need a motion to,
And there's nothing in writing now that covers this anyplace.
no, but the contract has nothing in there about transfers.
Okay.
So because there's nothing in there about transfers, the Board of Works, as you know, has taken that we can transfer because
Yes.
it doesn't say we can't. If there's an ordinance passed, then the union contract would reflect whatever that ordinance says. And I think that needs to be made real clear. What departments are city, are all of them equal? What transfers can be made? And then when they make the union contracts in the next couple of years, they can make the union contract to agree with the ordinance. That's very simple.
I agree with you, Mayor. I think it definitely has to go into contractual language, and then it'll omit any other problems with it.
And if they don't agree with the ordinance, they can negotiate that when they negotiate the contract.
Exactly.
So, for this, okay, it's for this instance, this is not going to be considered a precedent
Exactly.
to do this on a regular basis. And whatever the new administration or whatever this city council does, okay.
And when I get that letter, I will.
I'll make a motion that, for this instance, this is not a precedent, that this will be allowed to be done on every occasion, and that this should be addressed by the city council and the union contracts.
Sounds good.
And do you want to add to that until the end of the year?
No, just, it has to be until something happens, because that's what they want. They don't want to wait the first year and transfer people, so.
No, okay, I understand what you're saying. I
So
second
until
the-
it's handled by the union contracts, this is not a precedent, that means it can happen anytime.
I'll second the motion.
Everybody
What is the
understand that?
motion, Mayor?
Huh?
What is the motion?
The motion is that we are not taking this incident as a precedent, that it can be done at any time.
I think you need to spell out what the incident is.
Okay, the incident that an individual can be transferred from one department to another, and either rights taken away or rights given. And then it can be addressed in an ordinance, can it not?
You can. But are you saying that is allowed or is not allowed?
I'm not saying either one, I'm saying that each incident has to be on its own merit, that because they allowed this to happen, it's not a precedent, it'll happen frequently.
On an individual, on an individual basis, I think is what you're
That's
saying.
what they're wanting, that, hey, just because we did it this time and they okayed it, doesn't mean that it's going to be okay forever.
And it'll be,
And it'll be addressed by the contracts and the city council.
right, that's all right.
Okay, read it back so he's got the proper language.
Why don't you say it again? For this incident only, this will not be a precedent. It should be addressed until it's addressed by city council and union contracts.
Yeah, I think that's what they wanted. Is that right, they wanted?
Yes.
Brad?
Brad, do you agree?
You're a union man?
I haven't talked to
Yeah,
him
it was just me.
today.
And like I said, when I get that
I wish he
letter,
was here.
I'll let you review
I mean,
it.
that's what he's asking, that not just take this incident as a precedent.
It sounds
It's-
like what they want is for you to simply say, this was a non-precedenting setting event.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing we did, and we both agreed to let it go.
Right.
All right. Everybody understand the
Which is
motion?
transferring a worker from one department to another
Another.
department, and not require him to undergo the probationary period, I think is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think city council can address that, and then when they draw up the contracts next year, they can address it in their contracts to meet city council approval.
Right.
What do you think, Fran? You're looking at me puzzled.
It's fine with me. If we can prevent a grievance, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and you know, this has only come up once. You know, I've been around here 12 years, and this is the only time it's ever come up that we transferred somebody. And I'll give you the history of it. What happened, we had an individual working in the park that had backhoe, could operate a backhoe, had CDL, had all kinds of things that you could do. We wanted to cut expenses in the park because of the financial emergency. We didn't want to lose this man, so we transferred this man to the utility. We transferred the man to utility. Well, federal law, Obama law, and I hate to say that because it's not really Obama law, it's
The Affordable Care Act.
the Affordable Care Act says if anybody works for you more than 90 days and you've got more than 50 employees and you offer insurance, you have to give it to the employee. You can't take it away because the guy had worked for us 4 years. So that was a no-brainer. That had to transfer. We wanted this individual to be at the utility because both of the utility operators thought he would be a good fit, and it has worked out. But we didn't want to take away his vacation, his longevity, and his
Sick days.
sick days. He goes to the bottom of seniority, no doubt. He went to the bottom of seniority. That's no problem. And the Board of Works granted a special privilege that he could retain those things, but go to the bottom of the seniority list. The union disagreed and filed a grievance. The grievance was denied by the two people that run the utility. I brought that grievance to you in testimony in a private session under negotiations, and today was the day that you would have to decide you were going to accept the grievance or deny the grievance. Well, in the meantime, Mr. Fox says he's talked with his people, and if we will not consider this as a precedent that it'll be done regularly without, in other words, that each case would have to be done individually, that he will drop the grievance and we'll be done with it. I think it's a good idea to drop the grievance. Everybody understand? Clear as mud.
It's an isolated case, Your Honor, that probably need to be brought to the attention so we can get it resolved if it ever does come up again.
Yeah.
Without going through all this, I think. I've seconded your motion.
Discussion.
I think for the discussion, we'll just muddy it more, so let's go.
You call for the question.
You made the motion, he second, and
You're the only one that can call for a question to vote on it. Okay. Have you all in? Any discussion out there?
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? When I get the form from Mr. Fox, I will send you a copy and see that you know what I'm signing, and I'll sign it, and hopefully this will be behind us, okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Baker, in the meantime, I think we need to work on an ordinance, how transfers should take place.
Yeah, I want to see the letter you get.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Right.
Okay, that's behind us. Okay, going to items B, C, D, E, F, and G, I would like to take them all at the same time, they're transfers. Transferring the pool bond construction from construction to financing, help pay the payment. 2015-44, transfer from minor equipment to uniforms, police department. We're using some part-time people and we have to upgrade uniforms. Resolution 2015-45, transfer motor vehicle, $150 from building materials to supplies and paint. Resolution 2015-46, transfer in the landfill, $130 from gasoline to office supplies. Resolution 2015-47, transfer from council to DOT, $3,000 from council insurance to DOT, other contractuals. This time of year, we are doing a lot, mostly in the mechanic division, trying to keep some of our older equipment operating and running. We're upgrading snow plows, we're working all kinds of things, and so we have some money in council insurance. We want to transfer it to non-contract or other contractual. And then in 2015-48, transfer in the park from operating to summer camp, Miller Center, and from operating to sign and kickball. 1,342.20. All these are just kind of cleaning up here at the end of the year, so we got enough money to pay the bills. Any discussion?
No, sir.
I need a motion.
Well, I'll make the motion that we approve resolutions 2015-44, 45, 46, 47, and 48.
I'll second.
A motion and a second that we pass resolutions 2015, 43 to 48. Any discussion? Any at all? Hearing all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Everybody's all right. Utilities on department matters. Utilities. Trying to beat Fran's record today. I think he had a 7-minute record while I was gone.
Attached, should have our report, our monthly revenue report. Overtime was a little high, $5,000 in overtime. Majority of that was those major leagues on 12th Street, 35th Street. I know we had to have the meter department, everybody out flagging, and so that took some extra time to get those projects complete. 30 work orders for the month of September. A lot of our work, not a lot of it, we had a few took us a few days to get things accomplished, some of these big leaks that we had, so our work orders isn't as high as normal. Projects, updates. We hired Coons Excavating to clear out a path along the sewer line on Ziegler Road. The north side of the road, there's a creek, and we have a sewer line that runs up that creek. It needs to be cleared out every once in a while. It hasn't been cleared out for a few years. So we got that cleared out, and there was a manhole that sat along the creek that was eroding, and he went ahead and repaired that creek bed. We are having sewer classes the next 5 Wednesdays. I think there's about 12, 15 people in the class. Is being put on by Alliance, and this will help pass the sewer certification test. And we have 5 associates taking the class right now. We was excited to have it here, because if not, we'd have to travel someplace else, and not all these people could have went at the same time.
That's one thing I wanted to talk to you about. When they take this class, it costs, each one of these people take the class have to pay $400 to take the class. We provide the time, right?
Right.
But
here, yeah.
I think it's wrong. We pay for the training for police and fire, and we don't pay for the training for our people. When we came trying to hire somebody down at the wastewater treatment plant, we only had 2 people that had qualifications. And I think a good part of that was they have to actually pay their own money to take the training, which in most cases will never do them any good other than in their job. It's to our advantage that people are trained. I think that someplace along the line, the utility needs to reimburse these people and it's for books and going to the school, is what it is.
Well, yeah, we got a little discount in the books because we're sharing books. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they get raises. I mean, they benefit from it. They'll end up with an extra, I don't know, $500-800 a year taking this class. And I think in the past, I asked a question to the guys, I think in the past, they've always had to pay their own. So
Maybe sometime we ought to consider
Take a
paying
look at it,
half the
yeah.
class or something like
That's
that.
what I was gonna think about. I mean, are the classes on of an evening or during?
They're during the day.
Okay, so they're getting paid their wage, right?
We're lucky that we was able to do it here.
Right.
Because it was out of town.
That's a
We
good
couldn't
break.
send
Yep.
That many.
that many, only one person could go, so. And in the past, I think they had to take their vacation time, sick days to go to these classes out of town. So that's why I had it right here, they just
Yeah.
come up and take a class.
But most every corporation or company, in order to train their people, pay for going to school. At least, and they might have a ceiling on it, you know what I mean? Each year you're allowed so much to go to school or for training, but I think we ought to consider that. That's just my opinion.
The only other thing I have, actually 2 things, but Smith and Harvey Law Office is requesting that we take a less on a lien. Normally, the customer comes in and requests this, but for some reason, they couldn't get anybody here, so they asked me if I would present this to them. And pretty much what it is, they're in charge of an estate of a gentleman who passed away, and the law office has offered has an offer to sell their house, and for a little bit more than the assessed value. And they was wanting to use that assessed value money to pay, I guess they owe numerous creditors. So they're trying to settle with all these creditors to get this house sold. And they was wondering if they have $85 to pay this lien, and it is actually $185. The lien is $185, and they have enough, they want to pay $85 on this lien to get this house sold. And
Let me shed some light on this. Sometimes when people die, they have an insolvent estate. This is the case, it's an insolvent estate. They got so much money to pay everybody, so they pay a percentage to each person that is owed to close the estate. And we are a part of that this time, and they got $85 that can go to the city. I make a motion that we take the $85 and be happy with it.
we don't want to set a precedent where everybody comes and wants to will and live with us, but this is kind of different in an estate, and if they don't sell the house, we probably won't get anything, so.
That's right. This happens many.
Grass cutting, or what was it?
Yeah, it's a
It's,
sewer.
Sewer liens.
Sewer lien,
Okay.
sewer and stormwater.
This happens to a lot, the reason I know about this happens to a lot of people in funeral bills. You submit a bill to an estate, and then the estate is insolvent, you get a percentage of your bill, you don't get it all.
I see.
And that's the case right here, we're getting a percentage, and we ought to be lucky to get it, don't you say, John?
Right,
Definitely.
they're prorating the bill.
I'll second your motion, Your Honor.
I got a motion and a second that we settle for the amount of money in the estate to settle this sewer lien. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, the last thing I have, Brad wants to give an update on our F project. It's completed, but he's wanting to give like a final report.
Okay,
on
while
that
you're still
project.
there, can I take these other sewer liens?
Yes,
Okay. We have a whole bunch of sewer liens. The Pattern Mill building, I believe I get my dates.
We already did that one, didn't
We didn't forgive them, did we?
we? Yeah, we did.
yeah,
When did you do it?
At the last meeting, I thought.
yeah, a couple meetings ago.
Why did you put them on the meeting?
That one's taxes. That's not sewer liens.
I thought this was sewer liens.
No, we already took care of
Well, we
the
can't
sewer.
do anything about taxes.
I didn't have, I just said you needed to call them about it. I didn't say you needed to bring it to this meeting.
No, we can't do a thing about taxes.
No.
What is that?
You brought anything?
Well, when the Pattern Mill was in limbo, nobody owned it, there were some taxes. We didn't own it. CEC ceased to exist, so they didn't own it. And we got the taxes.
We didn't.
We're not really obligated to pay them. Are we, John?
I don't believe so. I'll need to look into it.
See those?
Now, you have some sewer liens
Yeah,
that do need
the whole
taken care
packet's
of.
there. I didn't know those were.
There's stormwater liens on the houses that Diana's, that we do need to have them, the board needs to approve taking off.
Okay, so it's nothing to do with the Pattern Mill.
No,
Well, I've
But
been
there's-
misinformed, I'm sorry.
there's stormwater liens. Diana gave you copies, I think, of that.
On those houses we're gonna demolish?
Yes.
My assistant misled me, and she told me.
These are in the name of Pattern Mill Limited Partnership,
But they haven't been forgiven, she says, right?
not the real estate
Not
tax.
the real estate tax.
I think they owe those.
That's,
That was pursuant to the deed.
It was carried in the deed.
They
So
they
did-
pay taxes beginning at a certain time. And it depends on when they got title of the property, but I'm thinking it was subject to May 15 taxes.
So then we need to take up the issue of the houses that we're tearing down, the liens against those.
Is that what it is?
Some of them are, right?
this doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't, Diana got bills for all the properties for the, that we're gonna, the houses we're gonna tear down with the grant money, the 8 properties.
And there
For
were sewer liens
stormwater.
against some of those.
For no, they were just stormwater bills. They were for $7.15 or whatever
Oh,
the,
okay.
but
Would you go get Diana and see what she's got? So when they transferred the property, they took care of who's paying the tax and who's not with the county.
Right. The nonprofit corporation that owned it previously wouldn't have taxes to pay because of 501c3 status. The city wouldn't,
That was the redevelopment commission, they wouldn't have paid
they would
taxes.
not. And the only other entity is the name on the tax statement, and that's Pattern Mill Limited Partnership.
And they settled that when they did their deed.
Well, the deed said they took a subject to taxes due and payable in spring of 2015, is my recollection.
So that's between them, we have nothing to do with that.
Right.
Diana, you've got some liens against some of the houses you're tearing down.
They're not actually liens. We've received invoices on all 8 of the properties for the stormwater charges. If at all possible, I'd like to have those taken off since the houses are going to be removed.
What's it amount to?
$7.15 per property.
Just 1 month?
It's not
Times what?
liens, it's
Times
just the
8?
bill for this
Yeah,
month.
Times
it's
8.
just the stormwater bill,
Times
and, you know, we'll be starting on those, hopefully in the next 2 weeks.
And as soon as those properties are demolished, there won't be a stormwater bill on those properties any longer anyway, right?
Well, most of them, the water has been disconnected, so there wouldn't be one anyway.
Yeah, there's stormwater still, as
It
long as
stays
there's
on there.
property. But when there's nothing there but an empty lot, there won't be any stormwater charges, I don't
Better read
think.
the ordinance on that. It may be for that residential lot.
Could still be a,
Yeah, I'd
Will
read
be.
it.
Will still be.
There will still be?
I would think so, yeah.
So who's gonna pay that?
Diana?
the people that have deed to the property,
That's the UEA and
Okay.
House of Ruth.
House of Ruth. and-
Well, they're nonprofit, 501c3 corporation.
Yeah, but it's a stormwater fee.
I know,
They aren't exempt from that.
yes, they are.
They are?
Yeah, that's a form of a tax.
No,
Well, the city pays it.
it's
Could be,
not tax, it's a fee.
pardon me.
It's a fee, he says.
Yeah, it's arguable, but anyway, I recommend that you waive it.
I
These
make
are
a motion, we
being
waive these
demolished.
stormwater fees so we get these houses tore down.
I'll make that motion, that we waive the,
Oh, we just
I'll
waiving
make a
them for
motion,
this
you just
month?
need a second.
For this month?
Totally, until they're down.
the 8 pieces of property, I'll second it. I thought there was no
We
more.
got 56 days to get them down, so we need to do it so that there is no fee come about. We gotta get these houses down, we've been fooling with this for a year and a
All
half.
right.
Any discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Got
you.
it down.
Thank you, Diane, for coming over.
Now you got something you want to do.
Want to ask you to approve that final change order on the F project today. It is for $8,950. That change order was to do a little additional paving. When the street was being paved by Milestone, we had to add some ledge in there to get that.
How much was it, Brad?
$8,950.
Do I have a copy of it, Brad?
No.
It's in, it's probably with that final pay. It should be in there.
I didn't see it.
I don't have it.
It's in the utility report.
No, it did, I missed it.
It is in the claims.
Well,
Oh,
it's in the
it's in the
claim.
claims.
Okay.
Is that,
And the final payout, number 5, is also in the claims.
Okay, what happened, we were just gonna pave the middle of the street, it was gonna be a patch, and when they dug underneath there, it was gravel, and it caved in so bad, I was worried, and Brad was worried, and so he came up with the idea, let's pave the whole street. And we still stayed within our budget to pave the whole street, and it made a lot nicer looking street, and it wouldn't have been acceptable to the neighborhood to just patch it.
who would that have been made payable to?
Milestone.
Milestone, yeah, it's in here. I saw it.
No, Brackney.
That's Brackney, yeah.
Subcontracted
Okay,
Milestone.
they
for their payment,
subcontract.
Yeah.
I got it, I just saw it.
So there's a final, if you see in the claims on
There it is.
stormwater, there's a final payout
That
that
difference.
completely pays out the rest of the project for $109,147.60.
And
And the change orders are both change orders are included in that amount that finishes out that pays off all the retainage. And
So how much did we come out underneath what we budgeted
our
for?
original price to do the project was $392. We ended up at $419. The first change order that you approved was for $18,000. That was to completely rip out and pave the street of Iowa. The second $89.50 is the additional paving that we needed to do on the finished paving. We put some web in,
Is that the only two change orders we had?
the only two change orders. And the first one you approved back several months ago. So we were about 27,000 over on the project. That's why I wanted to remind you that,
Some additional.
the original projected cost of the project was going to be about $700,000.
That was because we did this ourselves using our own money and
And we just cut.
did our
cut
own
on-
inspection.
We cut on the inspection, we cut on the, we took the curbs and sidewalks out regrettably, we had to take those out of the project. But, so our total expense on this project, in addition, we paid Frank $25,000 or so to replace the water services. You add all that up, we did this whole project for under $500,000, and we, including the design cost, we would have spent at least $7. So,
I remember that number.
and it turned out pretty nice.
It's a nice project. It was done quickly, and when we changed out all those water services, we were afraid we'd put a brand new street in there, and next year we'd be digging up all those water services because they'd been disturbed. So
I'm not unhappy with the way we did it. You know, we cut more out of it and we had to put some back. But we still ended up, 30% cheaper than what we could have spent.
Are we satisfied with the side issue we had with that? Is that all?
Now, that's on Grand
That's on
Avenue.
the other
Random,
project.
different projects, sorry.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress.
most of it's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
We were supposed to tour and I never did get a notice. I don't know if you guys did or not. It's no big deal to me. I mean, it is, but I don't need to go.
We went and looked, one Friday ago, I think we did a final walkthrough, and I'm sorry that we didn't call you.
That's okay, no big deal.
But everything that we asked them to fix was fixed, and we found a couple of other things. But we've got a year to address. If there's other problems, we can go back and look at those.
Great.
So anyway, if you can approve that final change order and the final pay app of $109,147.
The change order I'll sign off on, and then it'll be approved in the claims.
Okay.
I think we're down to, any other departments have
Thank you,
anything they
Brad.
wanna do today?
Yeah.
Not appearing. Old business, we got anything under old business? Nothing. Miscellaneous business, anybody got anything? Claims and payroll.
Claims, utilities. Water was $78,756.01. Sewer was $96,091.76. Stormwater was $117,720.92, and $109,000 of that was to Brackney. Trash was $52,112.71 for a total of $344,231.40.
City claims for the 2 weeks, 283, the number, and the money was $169,692.70, but $72,666 was from the Indiana Housing Grant that we just talked about, the 17 houses that were fixed up, so it wasn't really our money, but it still went through our office.
Any discussion? Ready to?
I make a motion that we accept the claims as so stated for utilities and the city.
Okay. You've heard the motion to accept the claims. The claims have been read. We'll have a roll call vote.
Fran Schomel.
Yes.
Leonard Urban.
Yes.
Mike Bishop.
Yes.
You have approved the claims to be paid. Thank you. Public forum, anybody would like to bring anything forward? Come on up, Donna.
I'm sorry I neglected to get on the agenda. October's been a weird month as far as when things fall. I came to ask if on November the 21st, we could have Winterfest downtown and close some streets. We would like to maybe start, what did you find out?
Did you say the 21st?
It is available. Yes, it's a Saturday before Thanksgiving. We think maybe we'd like to start a little bit earlier in the day from the standpoint of tourism met with the train yesterday. And we miss the train people because about the time that we're starting, they're getting on the train to leave. We're the Polar Express. And so our hope is that the railroad will work more closely with us and maybe we can draw some of those people downtown prior to boarding the train. So I'm thinking maybe if the stores will cooperate, maybe we can open about 2 and then maybe finish, I think we usually have said 7. That's kind of open-ended right now. We may end a little bit sooner.
4 to 7 is what you're thinking?
2.
No, 2.
2?
Yeah. And it may be 6, but because I forgot we didn't have until next week to approach you, we haven't really gotten that far yet. But that's kind of our thought right now. And Dave and I have spoken briefly, so we'll try to get the street closings straightened around with Dave. And just want to know what you think. Oh, we need to hang a banner.
Want to do the 9th and 23rd?
Well,
2 weeks?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can take it down. I mean, this will be the 21st, so if it was hung up on the 9th, then they can take it down anytime, yeah, and take it down on Monday.
9th through the 23rd banner. Okay. What's your privilege on that, guys?
I move that we accept the request to hang the banner for Winterfest from November 9th to the
And we grant the
23rd.
street closings.
And the street closings. Do it all at one, please.
And we'll work with the railroad to make sure that we're not there.
Is there a second?
So I'll second.
Brand seconds the motion. Any discussion? Perry, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you.
Now I want to ask you something else. I'm sure that some of you read the article in the newspaper the other day about signs for downtown that would promote various sites within the city and county. And it's my recollection that when the bicentennial was finished, we had, and I think Leonard was there, we had a meeting that of all the bicentennial chairs and anybody else who wanted to be there that had served in any capacity. And we had a meal together. And one of the top 5, at least, we were all allowed to state our opinions on how the bicentennial funds should be allocated, anything that was left. And one of those top choices was information kiosk. So I think it would be nice if we had one downtown and one in the park so that people would know where the museum is, where the canal house is, where the railroad is, where the, well, anything of any interest, the Art Association, etc. Plus, out in the county, the bird sanctuary and so on and so forth. So I don't know where that fund stands, and I don't know if you have plans for it, but there are 2 things that I think would be very beneficial, and I want you to think about this. Information kiosks, and not, and this isn't a slam against Mr. Johnson, but I'd like to see tourism and probably the chamber, the city, everybody get together and design and put in place those information stations. Because it's true, people come to town. Now, I'll tell you what we have done as a commission. Tourism has we have a TV monitor in the station that you can go in if you're a visitor and sit down, and it lists the restaurants, shows pictures of historic and other points of interest within the city, the park and everything. Each ticket that's sold to Polar Express gets a card in it when it's mailed out that lists all the restaurants and the lodging. It has a map on it, but it doesn't do justice. We need to revamp that, but we've been using up what was already made. And I wish I'd brought you some of those. We recently did a tourism brochure that has the city park, the fair, the museum, the canal house, just points of interest and things to do that we will be forwarding to the State Tourism Commission. And they have a courier service, so anything in Fayette County that we want to send to them can be distributed throughout the state for free. All we have to do is get it to them. So we've done that. We have advertised in Travel Inn, which is a magazine that goes in every motel room in the state. If you're staying somewhere, you can pick that up and take it with you. It's a nice magazine. It tells about sites all over Indiana. We will have several ads in the State Festival Guide that'll be available in 2016. We also have points of interest in the State Travel Guide, the Indiana Travel Guide. The Travel Guide and the Festival Guide are both online also, so that gives us the opportunity to give a bigger description. In the online version, you can, I don't know what it is, 1,400 characters or something. You can really do a nice job of explaining what you have available. So those are things we've been doing. And I think it would be a great thing for the city and the county if you would consider spending some of that money for those information kiosks and set aside some money for a festival fund. We have no money there will be a festival next fall, in conjunction with the arrival of the Bicentennial Torch. But we don't have the funding to carry that on to the next year. And that's one thing that was brought out. I met with some of the people from the State Museum and State Historical Society. That's one of the things the state is pushing for, is for you to highlight your community and have a plan in place to carry that on through the next several years, not just celebrate your one day and have it over with. So those are a couple things I'd like for you to think about. They're just suggestions from the Tourism Committee. So,
does the tourist committee have the money to do these things?
we could probably,
Some, maybe.
we could probably put in some, but I think
Well,
it
the
behooves.
money that is left, I have asked Mr. Alexander, who designed the building over the batter mill. He is working on, first of all, we did some rough drawings, and we're working on commemorating the bicentennial over where the circle is. Where there would be a kind of like a thing, a square in the middle of it, and then around it would say, so I forget what it says. What's it say?
The bicentennial says bicentennial.
Yeah, but each of the plaques will be on there for each of the celebrations, and even a statue of John Connor there on that corner, which would be the center of town. I can't remember what it said. But Mr. Alexander is a very, he knows what he's doing. He called this last week, and he's not quite ready to make that presentation to the Board of Works. I promised the Bicentennial Committee we would commemorate those events. And I had him in here a few weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago now, to approve what has been drawn, and they approved it, they liked it.
But I still think it behooves you to put some of that money into these kiosks, which is what the Bicentennial Committee voted on.
But the first thing they wanted was those
I don't think,
centennial and bicentennial.
yeah, but we never went into a
commemorated.
statue of John Connor. We don't even know what he looks like.
And I'm not so sure that that's gonna happen.
Well,
But he is,
but will that take all of the money?
I don't know. I haven't got the price. I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Well, I think it's something you need
He's
to.
not got the presentation ready to
I
come
think
here.
it's something you need to think about, because how many people will come to Connersville to look at that particular monument, as opposed to how many people would come for a festival and then see, and I have nothing against the bicentennial commemoration.
You were one of the
believe me.
ones I promised.
It wasn't one of the things I voted on, but we'll talk
No,
about that
forget
privately.
that meeting. Way before that, when we talked about Paulette Hayes and the whole thing, we were gonna do this. This was part of what we were gonna do.
Well, and that's
And it's
fine,
probably part of my fault that I haven't got it
but
done. But there was nobody that wanted to take that on and do it. And I had too much stuff to do myself, so Dan Parker designed the plaques for me. They're very simple. And then it was a question, where are we gonna put the plaques? We first thought we'd put them in the park by the flagpole in the Roberts Building. And then we realized there's no light there. And we have enough problem with vandalism. It would be better if they were on this courthouse square, what they're calling John Connor Square over here. And that's what we're working on. But as far as the kiosks, I don't understand why the tourism, I was on that committee, and you've got $20,000-$30,000 a year to work with. Why you guys don't do that? That would be a great thing for tourism.
And I'm not saying we wouldn't kick it in, but I'm saying that's what the Bicentennial Committee asked some of that money to go for. The people who actually worked every day on that Bicentennial Committee.
They also want it commemorated. So
True,
I gotta do one first.
but.
And I may not even get that done.
And the other thing I'm gonna say is you don't know what John Connor looked like. So it's gonna be hard to do a statue of him, unless you put his.
Nobody's exactly sure what a lot of people look like.
Well, that's fine, but I'm just saying.
And I'm not saying
You'll
we're
have
doing
to turn his
I'm not
coonskin
saying
cap
we're, I'm
around
not
backwards
saying
and
we're
put the
doing a
tail in front of
statue.
his face,
But when
'cause-
I presented this to the committee, they liked the idea of the statue there. Now, whether or not they do that is up to this board.
Okay,
I don't know if they'll do that. I told them to price that separately. Might just put a square with the 4 plaques on it.
well, and if you would consider doing that, then yes, I think I could talk the Tourism Commission into sharing the cost of the kiosks, with the understanding that we would work with the chamber and other entities to make those what we think is going to be most beneficial and most informative.
We tried that once before, and I forget what went wrong. We tried to put a kiosk down there.
Well,
It fell apart, I forget
I think
why.
we can do that. Other than that, the only thing I want to tell you is that if you don't know, the museum has a new Ford automobile, a new old Ford automobile, a 1937 Beverly sedan, which looks like Jimmy Cagney could jump out of it at any point with a machine gun. It is beautiful. I would love for all of you to come to see it. And in fact, we're going to have a little coming home party for it at the museum, probably in 2 or 3 weeks. So you'll be getting an invitation, and we'd love for you to come and see it, because it is, I'm not even a car person, but this thing is a thing of beauty. So, so that's all I have, and I just wanted to kind of check in with you and have you think about those things. So,
We're 2 missing today, but I'm hoping by the next Board of Works meeting, we got those from Mr. Alexander, what he thinks we could do over there. It worries me if we put that thing in the middle of the round circle, then where do I put the Christmas tree? You know, I worked for years trying to find a place to put a Christmas tree, and I've got a beautiful stand down in there, so I'll have to take it out there and put it someplace else. So I'm working on it. I don't know if I'll get it done or not.
let me think about that. We might be able to put it over there in the corner of the Canal House parking lot, which isn't quite as prominent, but, oh, and by the way, drive by and look at the bicentennial rock for the time capsule. It's in place, and it's quite picturesque, I think, so.
And maybe that's where the plaques ought to be over there, I don't know. But we're gonna try to commemorate those celebrations some way.
We could do
And
that.
when Mr. Alexander gets that all together, we can take part of it, all of it, or none of it, when he gets it done.
Well, you know, things are looking up for downtown. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we have the Art Association moving in that little area. We have a very wide variety of things you could see. You could go look at the
And maybe
murals in
that's
the
where those
courthouse
plaques
and-
ought to be, it would be less
Well-
expensive. And maybe that's where, right on the corner there, maybe where we took the tree down, maybe right in that area, that's where it should be. I don't care. But we are gonna commemorate that. If I have my way, we're gonna commemorate it before I get out of here, because I
Well,
promised to
and I
live it.
think it should be, but you know, I want you to consider these other things, because other cities that are progressive and seem to draw in people are doing things. And we don't have money to do a nice festival. And as some of you know, when we did Party on the Square, every year, we started out with about $5,000. We ended up with about $5,000. And it's a lot of work, and other cities do it with volunteers. We can do it. But that money is now gone.
What
And
happened to that money?
that money's in the foundation.
Is it, who's in charge of that money?
Well, until it gets to be, there was about $4,700 because Party on the Square ceased to exist. The foundation usurped the money, and it's sitting there. And even if we put another $300 in there to make it $500 or $5,000, we would still only reap the percentage, the interest that the foundation would give us, or give the city, or give to whomever, and it's still, that isn't enough to put on a festival.
I want to tell you, all my life, I love festivals, I love car shows. We went to the Pork Festival, and it was way, way, way down from what it used to be. Festivals have wore out, and I think what you gotta do, you gotta have a theme, and you gotta build it every year, and it takes 30 years. Now, you go to Portland, that engine show up there it's the biggest one in the United States, but it's taken them 50 years to get there.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem is, you go to Metamora, I didn't go to the Pork Festival this year, but I know how other festivals have become.
Well, the second day of Metamora was great, the first day was a
Riley
disaster.
Days continues to grow and prosper, and that's what I think we should pattern ourselves on. The reason being that they don't allow those cardboard boxes full of socks and t-shirts and junk.
And that's what they become.
Metamora has shot itself in the foot to some
But the
degree.
second day of Metamora was the biggest ever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
So-
But,
Well,
Weather
they
had
got
a lot
the
to do with
canal
that,
and they
though.
got those antique buildings.
right,
and-
and, you know, but we have antique buildings, and we have a train. And,
And the train does great.
yeah, and we have the,
It'll be a sellout for Polar Express.
yes, it will,
I think our city has a lot to be proud of if we just take advantage of it.
But you
absolutely.
gotta find one particular theme and
That's
then you gotta
exactly
build on
right.
it every year.
Exactly.
And where it's gonna be. And the thing downtown fizzled out. It really did.
No, it didn't.
You know, I think it did. When the car show left, it was, we didn't have a car show.
No, I think we can build on that and make it come back, and I think we can highlight everything that's downtown. When it becomes a historic district, you know that's gonna happen soon. At least we hope it is. I think we can prosper again. So, all right, thank
Your
you.
information was timely and good. We appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else under public forum? Anybody else?
We'll just-
Get back to my agenda here. None appearing, huh? Ready? Gentlemen, do you have
I'll move
anything?
adjourned. No, I have none.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.